Welcome to Action Man Battle Report, 3rd edition. Battle number 2, Goblins versus Northern Alliance. Alright, let's look at these Goblins. First time I've ever played them. Had quite a few models. And then I exchanged some stuff with Craig and got even more models. So I had enough models to make a fairly decent army. So let's see what I took. I took the Horde of Sharp Sticks with the Hammer of Measured Force. And they also have the Mop-Ups upgrade. Another Horde of Sharp Sticks with Mop-Ups and the Staying Stone this time, which I totally forget about. And a Spitter Horde with nothing. And then a Rabble Horde with the Mop-Ups. A Luggett Gang with Mop-Ups. And the Luggett Gang is actually a pretty darn good unit. The Fleabag Riders with Mop-Ups. And just a nice unit because they move so darn fast. A unit of Fleabag Sniffs. A Mincer Mob, which hits a ton. And a Giant. Next I took the Mop-Up launcher. I didn't realize that you didn't have to have Mop-Ups. This unit just has to be eligible to have Mop-Ups for it to work. So I probably spent a lot of points on upgrades I didn't need as long as I had the launcher. I had a Sharp Stick Thrower, junk. I had 2 big rocks throwers. Those are freaking excellent. And then King on a Chariot with the Mead of Madness. Mead of Madness. And he was pretty decent. I flag it with the Loot of Insatiable Darkness. A Wizard with Bane Chant. And of course all Goblin Wizards have Lightning Bolt as well. Another Wizard with Boomstick, and he was the big banger. And then lastly, another Wizard with Bane Chant and the Inspiring Talisman to help shore up one of my flanks. Okay, let's look at the Northern Alliance. They're the newest kids on the block, and somehow they've managed to give an entire army Armor 5, which I think I just want to commend Mantic for. Not really. And the ones that aren't Armor 5 have Ensnare. So yeah, good job, guys. I have a Human Clansman Horde with the Brew of Sharpness. I like that unit. The Half Elf Berserkers Troop. A unit of Ice Naiads Infantry, which turned out to be did pretty well during the game. A unit of House Garls, which are another excellent unit. That's a troop. A troop of Icekin Hunters. They certainly got him some bow shots during this game. A regiment of Ice Elementals, a regiment of Frostfang Cavalry, a horde of Snow Trolls, a Snow Troll Prime, Tegan on foot, and then Tegan on Frostfang, a Frost Giant, and the Lord on the Chimera to round out the list. Okay, so started with deployment, and I got to say I kind of blew it in some ways and probably did okay in other ways. I started on the left side with my Luggett Gang right up against a unit of stickers, and over there I put my Wizard that had the Inspiring Talisman. I also flanked them with the Giant since he dropped his Giant. The Wolf Riders with bows were there as well. Behind them was the Goblin King Chariot, and that's kind of where I blew the deployment. The middle was kind of my missile spot. I put the everything basically, the Mop-Ups, both catapults, and the Mincers right in the middle, and I put the Wolf Riders regiment there as well because I knew they were fast enough to get the heck out of my way. Right next to them I had the Goblin Archers, next to it the Ballista or whatever that thing's called, and then a unit of Spear Goblins, and then finally the Rabble out on the end, and they had the Battle Standard Bearer was with that group out there. The other 2 wizards were hiding in my missile park right there in the middle. As far as the Northern Alliance, from my left to my right, the first there was the Frost Giant, and then next to them were the Frostfang Cav. But then there was Tegan on a Frostfang, followed by the Snow Trolls, followed by the Snow Troll Prime, the Human Clansman infantry. I kind of expected to be there because they were kind of anchored in the middle of the line. Behind them was the Chimera, and then I don't really remember what those two next things are. I'm pretty sure one of them was the Half-Elf Berserkers, and then the Housecarls, and then the Naiads, followed by the Ice Elementals, and then on the very, very far end was the Ice-Kin Hunters. And I'd say it's a lot better deployment than mine was, just because the everything was more central and not against the weak thing. So let's talk about my first turn. My infantry on the left just moved up to the wall that was in front of us. The giant moved up alongside. The both cavalry units kind of moved to the middle, and they really should have been on probably either end. But I was feeling confident that I could take out what was on his left flank there. It was the middle that I was kind of scared about. And on the right flank, I moved up the Stickers unit into the woods to make him a little bit harder to be hit, and then and to kind of make him move somewhere else differently, I moved the rabble up closer to the hill to see if that would kind of pinch him toward my shooting a little bit. The archers just stood in one spot. Actually, no, I'm afraid not. They actually moved forward a little bit so that they could get in range to shoot the result of my shooting and magic phase. I erased the half-elf berserkers, which really wasn't too hard, and dinged some wounds on the clansman in the middle, and my magic user actually did a wound or so to the frost giant, and wasn't a bad shooting phase at all. I mean, my plan was to weaken that middle unit as much as I could, and then go from there. But probably could have set up my deployment a little bit better to do that instead of doing what I did. So the other result was that the Naiads were also wavered that turn from shooting. So shooting phase did fairly well as far as impeding the progress of the Northern Alliance army. Okay, I guess the good thing for me in this turn was that one of his units, the half-elf berserkers, were dead, and then the Naiads were also wavered from my shooting phase, so that was good. Craig moved forward kind of cautiously, which I appreciated because maybe that would give me a little bit more time to shoot. And also that the fact that my two cavalry units could threaten the unit because they can move 20 inches a turn, or pretty close to it. I think they can move 20 inches a turn, but I don't recall. So he just kind of pushed forward, shot the Naiad, the Ice-Kin guys at the rabble, and did 4 wounds, which I thought was outstanding. I mean, those Ice-Kin hunters are a very good unit, and I would highly suggest that if you have a Northern Alliance army, you at least need a troop in there just to annoy people, which is what they did to me. So I kind of misdeployed my Goblin cavalry. They're too fast to be stuck in the middle of the table like that. But I didn't know what he had in his list. Excuse me, and I was using them to try to defend against a flyer. They got part way out there, but that turned out not to be a threat as much as I thought it would be. So I suicide charged the cavalry to the flank of the frost giant, just hoping to put some wounds on it. I mean, it's going to have 28 attacks, and I did have the Maw Beast and the which I probably forgot, knowing me, and the with the crushing charge on them too. So thunderous charge. So I figured I'd do a few wounds to it, kind of start weakening that giant up some. The rest of the army just kind of sit back and shot. I had a missile advantage. Why not use it? Between the two rock lobbers, the magic user, and the sniffs, and the goblin chariot, managed to get the clansmen pretty well weakened up. I think they had at least 10 wounds after that volley of fire, and I was feeling pretty good about being able to take them out of the game. So the Wolf Riders did actually pretty well on their charge. So after the wolf onslaught, um, I did 8 wounds to the giant, which was a little disappointing, but it wasn't horrible. I mean, with 28 attacks, I guess that's probably about right. Um, but anyway, I mean, it was like that, or I was going to lose them to the Wyvern or something. I mean, the Chimera on the next turn anyway, so I might as well get some licks in before I died. All right, the first thing to happen on my left flank is the Frost Giant, who's taken a few wounds. I think he was up to 8. Decided to charge into my Legates and try to do them in. The Frostfang Cavalry charged the Wolf Riders in the flank, which I totally anticipated. And the Thegan on the Frostfang, I think, moved up just a little bit. And in the very middle, the Trolls and the Clansmen charged my poor Wolf Rider unit that was up on the hill. I think that the Clansmen charged just because they knew that if they stood there another turn that they would get shot to bits. Kind of also toward the middle, the Chimera charged into my Goblin archers, and I think that was more to protect the flank of another unit. I don't really recall. The Ice Elementals attacked the rabble on the top of the hill, and the Ice Skin Warriors kind of pull back to shoot at the other guys, the stickers that are in the woods. So kind of an eventful. I mean, Craig and I usually play like this. We play early and often, usually for the turns. It's very rare that we play patty cake for too long. I mean, some of my things here, my deployment kind of screwed me up a little bit, but we'll have to just see what happens after this turn. So the result of the melee, the Legates survived the giant onslaught. Of course, the Wolf Riders did not survive the flank charge from the Frostfang Cavalry. On the hill, my sniffs were totally annihilated by the Trolls and the Clansmen. The Chimera actually bounced off the horde of archers, and the thing is that yeah, they kind of suck there, but they're still a horde, and so they actually have a lot of staying power from things like that. And the idea that a monster could kill them in one turn is actually not pretty high. The Ice Elementals did a few wounds to the rabble up there, but I was able to hold them off. So now I'm down both units of my Wolf Riders, and as you can see, there's generally damage all along the line from the melee attacks from the Northern Alliance. So one thing I've noticed about playing Ratkin and now playing Goblins is you don't really want to accumulate things because they will bite you in the butt because of their leadership value. So that wasn't good. So this was an eventful turn for the Goblins. I kept weighing my choices down here on the flank. I wasn't sure if the Legates and the Spears could kill the rest of that giant in a turn. So I ended up Bane Chanting the Legates, and the Spearmen actually had the measured force. So I was going to wound on 4s regardless. It's just hitting on 6s that's the squishy part. And then I totally forgot the mop up that the Spearmen had. So, I mean, that was no harm, no foul, because I don't think I needed it. On top of the hill, the Giant and the Goblin King charged into the Trolls. And then to the right of them, we just took the models off the Clansman unit because it was just too, they were kept falling off anyway. So both the Mincer mob charged into the remnants of the Clansmen. I disengaged with the archers in order to be able to shoot at him, but now that I think about that, it might have been illegal. I'll have to look it up in a little bit. I probably cheated. It doesn't have any effect on the game, but anyway, I probably cheated. The rabble up there, they charged back into the Ice Elementals, who were holding them up pretty well. So let's see what happens after melee.
All right, this was my turn 3, I think, and a pivotal turn of the game because one of the things that happened in this turn really uh, changed the game from being going toward my way. And because you'll see after this turn, it was going my way, but I'll point that out to you. Over here on the very left, the spearmen had charged in the flank of the giant, and the legates in the front, and they were bane chanted. So the giant went poof. Um, on the right side, on top of the hill, the rabble managed to kill off the ice elementals regiment, which was pretty good. Did a few wounds to the wyvern in the middle. The mincers absolutely annihilated the uh, clansmen. Of course, they were down. You know, their wounds were pretty much down. But I mean, I think the final result was I was 23 or 24 with the dice roll, so they were gone. Uh, the one that got me, and I could say this, you'll see this as the pivotal turn of the battle. The giant and the goblin king into the trolls, and the first roll I had, I killed them, and looked around, and that damn troll king guy was within 6 inches, and inspired him. In the reroll, I was stuck. Well, as you can see now, that's going to open up all sorts of hell for my poor guys. Uh, the mincers, I totally screwed that up too. I should have just let the troll guy charge me in the flank and and not the chimera, because the chimera, all he has to do is turn. You can see that he can see my flank from right there, and so all he has to do now is turn and go in. I should just have let one of them go in, and uh, letting the 20 swing chimera hit you in the flank is probably not a good thing, and as you'll find out, it wasn't. Um, but I mean, that's where I screwed that up. I mean, uh, I really don't know what I should have done. Maybe I should have went forward and take a risk on still not being in the flank, or anyway, just leaving them sitting there was not the right solution. And it's absolutely, like I said, this whole part of the battle here, it turns it turns it for a bad way for me for the next couple of turns. We'll see how it works out, though. All right, this is going to be a big turning point turn. The Frostfang Cav charged into the stickers, and you know the thing is that I was really confident that I could hold that charge just because of the fact that they were large cavalry, and that meant my stickers were really good. So I was pretty happy with that one. The one that got me was, like I said, after the trolls survived, and all of a sudden now Tegan and the trolls charged into my giant. Um, the screw up with my mincer mob. Now the Chimera was in the flank of them, and the damn trolls in the front of them. That's the trolls one that actually saved the entire center of the Northern Alliance. Over on the right, uh, my poor stickers are charged by the Naiads and the House Carls. This is probably not going to do well. And up to on top of the hill, the Icekin, uh, they charged into the rabble that was up there because they really had no choice. They couldn't get away. So let's see how the turn ends up. All right, this battle took a definite turn. The good thing is the uh, Cav bounced off the stickers, which I figured they would. The bad thing is the stupid trolls and the Tegan uh, one-shotted my giant. I really did not need that to happen. That was a crucial turning point of the battle. If I'd have just got rid of the trolls before, this game would have been just a mop-up, I think. Um, the Chimera and the Troll King basically just slaughtered the Mincer mob. Now that left my artillery just to be butchered as well. I held the charge in the woods from the uh, combined force there, and that was just because they were hindered. And up on the hill, my rabble held yet again against the Icekin hunters. So um, anyway, my infantry is actually not doing bad. It's just that they aren't very good, and so I really needed those special units like the giant and those kinds of things to actually do the battle for me. Uh, Another thing right here is if I would have got rid of the stupid bolt thrower and had a war trombone, I think this entire game would have been different. So I mean, just the idea of making your list and that one model would uh, help you or hurt you so much. In this case, the bolt thrower was just useless the entire game. I don't know why anybody would ever take one for the points they are, when just for a few more points you can get another rock lobber. As usual in these games, the turns go really fast at the end since there's so much stuff dead. My stickers and my luggage wiped out the Frostfang cavalry and started turning to maybe help the rest of the army, but my entire middle has just collapsed. The Goblin chariot did a couple more wounds to the trolls. That didn't do squat. Like I said, I did some wounds back to the naiads up there, and I did some wounds to the icekin, but there was no breakthrough here. The Goblin spitters just turned to face the where the wyvern's at, knowing that their ass is about to get kicked. All right, you can see that basically the entire Goblin middle has collapsed, and really nothing I could do about it with the power of the Northern Alliance units. They were just so tough, and we'll just have to see what happens next turn. But like I said, now at this point, after the critical thing happened in turn 3, the rest of the game is pretty much a mop-up for the Northern Alliance. Needless to say that the Northern Alliance turn 4 did not go well with me. The Tegan charged into my spearmen and tried to hold them off to protect the trolls, I think. The wyvern continued to, I'm sorry, the chimera continued to beat on the spitters. The Troll King actually bounced off one of my wizards, which I thought was hilarious. However, the stickers in the middle succumbed to the combined attack of the Housecarls and the Naiads, and now they were turning to finish me off. The rabble held out against the Icekin for a turn, but like I said, they had help on the way, and so we'll just have to see what goes on. But I mean, it's still a close game because I still have several units left. It's just they're not very significant units. So turn 5 didn't go so bad. I managed to, with the shooting, because the trolls were right in the middle of the table, I was able to, with both catapults and the blaster wizard, the one with the boomstick, managed to kill the trolls exactly. Wish I'd have killed them a few turns ago, but anyway, my guys did a few wounds to the Tegan on the Frostfang, and he was teetering on the brink. My rabble at the hill finally killed the Icekin archers and turned to face the Naiads and see if we could survive that attack as well. So it wasn't a horrible turn. I mean, getting rid of the trolls was big, and that was a big shift in points. Well, it kind of swung back the other way this turn, as you kind of figured it would. The spitters are no more between the Housecarls and the Chimera. Chimera turns around toward my hapless troops, and then the Naiads took out the remnants of the rabble. And the rabble had actually, they'd actually taken out 2 units and died. And, for a unit that costs only 125 points, it's not too bad. His troll had taken out my magic user and has turned to face the rock lobber. The Tegan had countercharged into the stickers. I don't know why I didn't charge the other guys, but he charged into the stickers and held him off this turn. Okay, the Luggets and the stickers had taken out the Tegan on the Frostbane Cav. So I threw a couple of spells. I think I threw some spells at the Chimera to try to waver it down, but just a little too little too late, and not having very many units to do anything with. All right, this is the bottom of turn 6, and the Chimera charges into the stickers, trying to finish them off because they were up a lot of wounds at this time. The Troll King, he wipes out one of the other rock lobber, and then turns to finish off the second one if there's a turn 7. All right. Unfortunately for me, there was a turn 7. I thought at one point it would have been a benefit for me, but it turns out it was bad because the previous turn the Chimera had wavered my stickers unit, and I poorly placed the Luggett unit. I don't know what I was thinking, but it was late in the game. Uh, but that pretty much spelled the doom for my stickers. And this is it, the end of the game. You can see the stickers are gone. Uh, Pretty much that little handful of things right there is my entire army. Um, what can you say? Like I said, turn 7 really got me. I would have had at least a draw if there would have been, if we would have stopped at turn 6. But just Chimera was just so strong. All right, here we are counting up the points. I had a paltry 470 points left. The Northern Alliance had 815 points left. Therefore, it was a Northern Alliance win. So my final thoughts on the battle. First of all, this was the first time that Craig and I played either army. So I'm sure that our lists were not optimized or really well thought out. Craig was basically using the models that he had. I was using the models that I had. I hadn't had a chance to, make any real modifications to the basic troops that I have. So we were both playing on fairly even ground. Now, if I said what would I change in my army, I would definitely get rid of the bolt thrower and probably put a war trombone in there, and then also try to figure out how to get the new Goblin flyer into the list, just to harass people and to maybe put the last wounds on things. It might cost me some of the Goblin cavalry to do that. But I think that would be my suggestion to my own self. Deployment, I kind of screwed up in the middle. I didn't move the mincers up. For some reason, I thought they charged the same length as cavalry, and I did not move them up. I should have moved them up and threatened way sooner, but I did not. And then after the turn 3 debacle, not turning them toward the Chimera was probably the end of them, because they have big shields. So whoever charges in the front, they could have theoretically handled the Chimera's front charge and the trolls there, because I did have some inspiring nearby. So anyway, kind of made some mistakes there. Again, first game, didn't really understand, the dynamics of playing goblins, but really did like the big rock throwers. 2 of them is plenty. I would think 3. You start after a while. I think you just start getting in the way of yourself when you're not moving troops tactically, because you're wanting to shoot. And I've always had that struggle in these games, because if you have a flank that just shoots, it's no big deal. But if you're trying to mix and match them like I did in the middle of the table, it doesn't really work. As far as the units, I thought most of my units did okay. You just can't expect goblins to hurt anything in melee. But the measured force on the spears, that helped a lot. To be able to kill that giant, and with 30 attacks, sure they won't hit a lot, but on the other hand, they'll still do enough damage just to nick them. The Luggets were really good. I only had 1 unit, but I'm thinking of next time maybe having another unit if I can figure out how to put them in the points of the army. But I really didn't expect the number of drops that Craig had in his list. But he had a lot of things were regiments and troops, and that kind of stunned me, because I thought I would have a clear advantage in the drop portion of the game. And some of his stuff was fairly weak because they were troops and regiments, and I was able to take them out. But Northern Alliance is a smoking good army, and like I've said on the message boards before, what kind of moron comes up with an army where basically everything is armor 5, and 1 or 2 of the units that aren't armor 5 had ensnare? Good God. So I know it's their pet army, and but so are goblins. So better just shut up about it, because I could see how easily this game, if the turn 3 thing would have turned my way, it would have just been a runaway the exact opposite direction. So this game was well fought as far as the game itself. I mean, it was very tight. I mean, it didn't look like it at the very end, but one turn really made it pivotal, because being able to, if that giant would have survived and the trolls would have died, I mean, it would have been a totally different game. It would have been me mopping up, turning everything from my left to my right and going after him. So anyway, again, a learning experience, some bitching involved, but if you're not bitching, you're not having fun. And again, thanks, Craig, for another great battle. I am going to do some changes to my list, and I'll probably post them up on the message boards and let you guys see what you think about my changes. So anyway, thanks for watching another Ashman Battle Report.